Good evening once again. Welcome to a Saturday edition of our Health Forum. I am so glad to have you here in class today. I'm excited because the Lord has given us the opportunity to see another Saturday. It's always a privilege to see the beauty of another day. And every time we do that, we always have reasons to bless God and to thank Him for the privilege. It is not a right, it's just an opportunity for us to see the day, and it's a privilege for us to be counted among the living. So, on behalf of every woman on this platform, in this community, I want to say a big thank you to our God for giving us the gift of life. So, having said that, last week we started a class, a topic for the month. And the topic for the month is what? Is on cardiovascular. So before I go deeply into the cardiovascular, continuation of the cardiovascular, let me just say this for the purpose of those who are just joining us for the first time. This is Tabitha Health and Wellness Forum. It's an online forum on WhatsApp and on Telegram. As we roll this program on WhatsApp, we are also having it on Telegram as well. Okay, and also after the class, we upload this talk, every teaching, we upload it on YouTube. So if you missed the class, you can go through it again, go through the voice notes again. You can also check through the Telegram, and if you have the opportunity to also check the YouTube, it will be very good to check the YouTube and also share it because it's been uploaded in one and as a file, so you can send it to anyone, your loved ones, your friends and sisters. It's amazing that people actually share the messages to their friends and loved ones. I got a testimony from somebody over the week, and it quite amazing that just by sharing, the person is not even in our community. The friend is on this community, and she decided to share it to another friend of hers who is not on this community, and she's always blessed by the message. So you can check through the YouTube as well. My name is Uluwatosin Ogude, and I remain, by the grace of God, the convener of Tabitha Health Awareness, um, thanking God for what God is doing in our lives. A disclaimer: in this community, we do not diagnose or treat any disease. Rather, we share information that will help us to make healthy living lifestyle so that we can be able to make great information. When we are well informed, we can make great information and great choices concerning our health. And that is the most important. Or not, that is why Dabita is here. No, we are not creating a community where people depend on the convener or depend on the coordinator. We are building a community where everybody becomes, a, a soldier, an ambassador to do the good things for themselves, extend it to their family, and also spread it around to other women, so that at large we can fulfill our vision to make sure that we have a community, that we have women that are free from diseases and they can fulfill their God-given assignment. So on that note, in the month of June, we have decided to dedicate this month to cardiovascular health. We'll be talking about cardiovascular health because it's a very critical topic that we think that we should be aware of. If we are informed, we will be able to do a lot with our health. And joyfully, we were able to break it down. And though we are not talking deeply in the medical terms of cardiovascular, we are talking briefly on things, the major things that we need to understand for us, so that we can be able to make very valid decision concerning that area. Again, when we do any challenge on this platform, I want to encourage you, just as what you have seen and you have read on this platform, a lot of people are getting recovery. They're recovering from their health issue just by practicing some of the things that we're doing here, drinking whatever, onion juice, we do, cloves water. I don't drink. A lot of it. We have a list of things that we have done, that you have been doing. So please keep it up. Don't do anything in excess. Do everything in moderation. Eat in moderation. Drink in moderation. Exercise in moderation. Sleep in moderation. If you oversleep, it can cause a problem. Okay, laugh in moderation. If you overjoy over laughter, can actually impact on your health. Overjoyous too can affect your health. Overexcitement too can affect your health. So please make sure you remember that moderation is very, very key. And again, you must understand that there are different types of plants and herbs. I will not come here and share with you the plants on an advanced plant. I will not come and share that with you here. I will only share the plants that are called nutritive plants. There are different categories of plants. Nutritive plants are things that you can take on a regular basis and that will do no harm to your body. We have anti-inflammatory herbs. We have some anti-inflammatory herbs that are not to be used regularly. There's some that you use for a short period of time and you discontinue. There are some that you can use, and the ones I share here, they're the things that we can use regularly and that will not cause any harm to us. So believe me, trust me as always, and then trust God. Okay, the Lord is with us on this platform, in this community, and He will always show Himself strong in our lives and in our midst. Last week, if you were here, remember we talked about the three parts. We broke cardiovascular into three parts. We talked about common cardiovascular health. We equally concluded on the symptoms of cardiovascular health. And so if you missed the classes, if you missed the part one, I'd like to direct you to YouTube, or you check through the Telegram, through the voice notes, or you take through your WhatsApp voice notes. So to start with today's class, I have a good news for you. And the good news is that research have this documented by World Heart Federation that an estimated 80% of cardiovascular disease, including heart disease and stroke, is preventable. Isn't that a good news? Really, really, really good news. 80% of this issue is actually highly preventable. Now, let's start with risk factors. Risk factors. When you hear risk factors, what do you understand by risk factors? It is important to understand what risk factors are. There are many risk factors associated with cardiovascular diseases. Now, talking about risk factors, it is also important to understand what is meant by risk factors itself, so that when somebody asks you, somebody say what is risk factors, let's break down what risk factor is. So to define risk factors, risk factors itself, risk factors are things, the possibility, when we say risk factor, the possibility that something bad will happen, or something will happen, okay, so something will happen if a certain things is being done. These are risk factor. This possibility of certain things, bad things happening. Okay, example is smoking cigarette is a risk factor to lung cancer. Okay, is that clear? So smoking of cigarette is a risk factor to lung cancer. So if you are a smoke, if you smoke, so that means that you have a higher chance of having lung cancer. I'm sure that is clear. Okay, so now risk factors for cardiovascular diseases. I think it is important for us to understand risk factors, in as much as we know now, we know that we have the good news that 80% of cardiovascular issues, problems, they are all preventable, which is such a good news, relief. Okay, if you hear from last week when I said, some people will say, do I have heart attack, do I have heart this, do I have, some people will have a problem. No, please, reason why we are here on this platform to share this is not to put fear into us. When you hear, when you learn, we understand there's information, powerful information, things that are hidden in book, maybe that you have not been able to read about. So we come here, we open them up, we share among ourselves, we try to make it as simple as possible so that we can, even a layman can understand. So it's not to put fear into you. So now let us understand the risk factors. Is it preventable? Yes. We have certain risk factors. So looking at these particular risk factors, understanding them will help you to make a great decision. Understanding the risk factors will help you to even walk in line with things that will help you to avoid, to prevent certain things. So if you don't understand the risk factors, how will you be able to even achieve the prevention of this particular problem, the cardiovascular issue? And so it is also good to understand, to know that you will not necessarily develop cardiovascular diseases, okay, if you have a risk factor. Exactly. You will not necessarily have it. So let me go on. However, the more risk factors you have, the greater the likelihood of developing cardiovascular diseases, unless you take action, act and work to prevent those risk factors affecting your health. So if you know that, okay, eating this particular thing or working in this particular direction, I am likely to be exposed to this. I guess if you know that thing, you will be able to avoid. Okay, you are the type that easily have maybe catarrh, runny nose, and all of that. You know, you'll be able to say that, okay, this particular thing that I do predisposes me to having this particular thing. So what do? You want to prevent, you want to avoid trending, no, treading through that particular line, so that you will not be able to come down with this particular issue. So you'll be able to work at it. So let's look at two categories. I've categorized risk factors to two. The first category and the second category I'll be sharing with you shortly. Now, the first category of the risk factor is the risk factors that are not under your control, right? It is totally out of your control. You can't control it, you can't reduce it, you cannot particularly really increase it. That is, and the second one is the ones that are so that you're in your control. So the first one that's in your control, that are risk factors that are not under control, are what? One, age. You are not, you, whether you like it or not, you will grow in age, you will increase in age. So if you are 30 this year, next year you'll be 31. So you can't change it. You can't turn back the hand of the calendar. You can't tell the calendar to stop. You can't tell your growth. You can't tell your aging to stop, aging process to stop. You can't. So age is constant. So you can't afford, you cannot really have control. You can't have control over this age, this particular one. So you grow in age. So this is number one. And the second one is gender. You can't change. Oh, sorry. I guess there are people changing their gender. But no matter how much you change your gender, I haven't seen any one of them. The other side, a male getting pregnant. We haven't seen it. It is certain there are certain things that have not been happen that have been able to happen. Even if they are trying to do transgender or whatever, they've not been able to achieve that. And I'm here to say that. Okay, so you can't possibly totally change the fact that you are male or female, except the other way that we are having that we are hearing. But you know, to some extent, there is nothing you can do about that. There are certain, even those who have transitioned from one gender to another. Okay, now these people, there are certain things that they are still predisposed to, because of that particular gene as a male or as a female, that is still come down with. Okay, so now you can't change that. There are certain things that happen to men, that it happened to them because they are male. There are certain things that happen to women, it happens to us because we are female, because we have the ovaries, we have a cervix, we have the womb, we have certain things. Certain things also happen around that area, so we can change that aspect. I hope you get that now. So that's another one. Then the third one I like to talk about is the family history. The family history is also a factor that some people have not been able to come. See, the truth is, there's certain things that we come with. There's certain family history. There's certain genetic issues that we have. Take, for instance, a genetic issue of a sickle cell anemia, for instance. That is a genetic issue. Hemophilia is a genetic issue, and some other genetic issues like that. Okay, they came a child a child is born as a sickle cell anemic child, not because the child chose to be so, because two parties came together that brought about this genetic disorder. So now the child doesn't have control over this. Now, if it's also hemophilia, so blood clotting issues and all of that, that's another problem. So, if you have such disorders, you really don't have control over them. But there's some family history. I hear people say, oh, it runs in the family, liver issues, hypertension, diabetes. We say my mother had it, father had it, uncle had it. And then, you begin to say, those, but this one particular family history is there, and that's why it keeps running into the family until somebody say no, I want to change certain things so that I can affect, so that this can stop me. On the part of family history, we can actually put an end to some of the gene problem. Even some sickle cell anemic patient or children, they are able to control it to certain level. Some children come down frequently with these problems associated with was a sickle cell anemia, and some really are well managed that they hardly have crisis. What makes the difference is actually because there are some modifications that they decided to embark on so that they can have less of the crisis. Okay, so that is that aspect. We're not going deeply into that, but I just want us to understand these risk factors. Now, let's go to the second category of the risk factor. The second category of these risk factors are risk factors that are shaped by our lifestyle and can be improved through behavioral modifications. They are they are risk factors that are shaped by our lifestyle and can be improved through behavior modifications. So, if you hear such things, it means in a nutshell that these are things that we brought upon ourselves through our lifestyle. Okay, and one of such risk factors of this category, in this category, is diabetes. Diabetes is a number one risk factor for cardiovascular issues. Diabetes, as we all know, people having living with diabetes are twice as likely to develop cardiovascular diseases. So I want you to understand, if you have any family members, you have anyone around you that has diabetes, is a major concern that we need to work on. And if you're a woman on this platform, if you're listening to me, if you have someone, I want to advise you to join the 30 Days Challenge program so that you can walk through how to work on the diabetes issue, especially diabetes type 2. Diabetes type 1, by the grace of God, we've been able to control using the nutrition and lifestyle to help to control and reduce the amount of insulin shot that is used on a daily basis from 20 units to 5 units for many of us that were around during our anniversary. You heard the testimony of our beloved sister, how a daughter of less than 20 years have been on 20 units, but now the child is just only on 5 units, to the glory of God. Diabetes type 1. So if it's diabetes type 2 has been researched and documented and known to be a lifestyle problem. It's a lifestyle problem, a lifestyle issue that have damaged the pancreas, and the pancreas is no longer working the way it's meant to work. We are not dealing with diabetes this, but we are going to deal with diabetes later. So diabetes is a big risk factor. So as we all know that it's a major concern, major global health threat. It affects about 1 out of 11 adults. That is really massive. 1 out of 11 adults have diabetes. That is really, really, really a higher percentage that need to be worked on. And it is estimated that in another 10 years, it looks like it's going to double. It's going to double, and that is serious. And we all need to put and have to be on deck to see how we can cope this minute and do it joyfully and happily. This issue can be resolved. I have seen people with diabetes. I have worked one-on-one with diabetes patients, one with the people, and they are ex-diabetic today, to the glory of God. It is possible, it is workable, it is happening. That on a regular basis, their blood sugar is now about 85 to 86, only 85 to 86 every morning, which is very, very, very amazing. So please, let's work on this. The diabetes can be managed properly if you know what to do. In fact, it can be reversed in my own. When somebody says, do you hear that diabetes is reversed? I can categorically say that you can reverse diabetes only if you know what to do and how to also maintain that lifestyle, and you'll be forever out of diabetic drugs. And that is the truth. So diabetes can damage the blood vessel. I like to share this. Many people will going to ask, how does diabetes cause the cardiovascular? Because diabetes is like the blood, is really the blood, the sugar in your blood. There's a accumulated excess sugar that is not meant to be in your blood. Yes, the body needs glucose, but that glucose must be in moderation in the bloodstream. So if it is excess, that means it's going to be a problem. Now, the red blood cells get attracted to sugar, and once it gets attracted, to get glycated. A glycated red blood cell that passes through the vessels will have problems because the vessel will be narrowed. So there'll be a narrow vessel or clogging or clotting of the blood. And so, fortunately, red blood cells dies every 120 days. But the amazing thing is that the another irony is that because the person is diabetic, there's continuation, constant attraction to the red blood cell because the blood sugar in the blood is always high. And so that's why the red blood cells, even if it is produced every day, every 120 days, it is already always high. That's why when you do your HbA1c test, is in percentage, it is always at a very high level, and that's a dangerous cause. So that's why it can damage your blood vessels, and you know it's a metabolic issue. And so there's a problem when there's a poor in metabolism. There's going to be a problem all around the cardiovascular. Most people who have type 2 diabetes might also have high blood pressure. I have seen a statistics that most people who have diabetes, they usually have high blood pressure. In fact, if they don't have high blood pressure now, over time they will have high blood pressure because the blood that goes in, that passes through the vessel over time, after a while there will be pressure between the pumping of the blood towards the walls of the arteries. And when that happens, it means that there's going to be a pressure for the heart pumping the blood, across the pressure of the blood to the arteries. Because when the heart pumps the blood into the artery to begin to distribute, so there's a struggle, there's a tightness because there is a problem in the blood that is being distributed, because the blood is loaded with sugar, it's glycated blood. So over time there will be high blood pressure. I just want to believe that you get this simple analogy, this simple definition. So it is not rocket science, just simple, this simple thing like that. That's exactly, we're not going into medical, we're not doing we're not in medical school, but this simple one is on our level. Let us just understand it like that, so that if blood sugar is plenty, it's going to thicken my blood or make my blood form somehow and create a difficulty in the blood passing through my vessels. And that is the only avenue where the blood can pass through to other particular parts of the body. It's such a very big thing, honestly, and we need to work on it. Also, it also have high cholesterol. Most people who have diabetes, most times, I'm not saying all the time, most times, if they don't work on it, it also create a lipid, that's hard fat, lipid into the bloodstream as well. And also, when they are overweight, most times as well, they're overweight or obese, is also a problem. So the longer you live with diabetes, the higher the risk of having heart issues, cardiovascular problems, and stroke as well. So most times diabetes leads to high blood pressure. From high blood pressure, it leads to also stroke. In fact, most times they usually like to control diabetes patient from having stroke, because the blood can create clotting in the blood, and when the blood clots, it flows into the brain, the vessel in the brain, and there's a blockage there. What happens? It causes a stroke. So that's one of the reasons why they like to control the blood pressure, the cholesterol level, to prevent stroke for anyone who has diabetic issues. Now, the other risk factor that we also have, the second one, is high blood pressure. High blood pressure, don't forget we're talking about the risk factors for cardiovascular issues. We're not talking about diabetes. I'm just talking about the first risk factor that we talked about is cardiovascular, is a diabetes. And then the second one that we talked about, that we're talking about now, is high blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, there is constant pressure and pumping. That is a very, very high risk. In fact, there's something they call heart disease caused by high blood pressure. There's something they call that it is as a result of the heart disease, the pressure of the heart, the pressure of the blood that is making the heart to malfunction. Okay, it's just simple. Let's look at it this way. Your heart is meant to pressure at about 160, 120, 80. Okay, now the blood is now pressuring at, let's say, like 140, 150, 130 across 85, 90. Some even have something like 240 over 100 and something. So there's a lot of pressure. You are overburdening the heart. The heart is the one that pumps the blood to the heart, to the walls, to the arteries. So there's a pressure on the heart to the walls of the arteries as it's pumping. Over time, it can damage the vessel because there is too much pressure. When you are pumping something, you are boxing something that is supposed to box at one per time. Now you are boxing the thing as five per time. What do you think will happen? Both the vessel and the thing that is pumping and the hand that you are and your hand that you are using to box the thing, you're going to have problem over time because the hand is not relaxing from boxing over time. So eventually it will come to a point that it weakens the heart, weakens the hand, and there is problem. So that is just as simple that I can describe this now. So that is going to be a problem, is a risk factor for cardiovascular issue. The other one is cholesterol. Cholesterol, is that, let me put the layman's language, is the fat. They call it fat, a lipid. They call it lipid. That fat got hard, it becomes hard. That's when it's called cholesterol. So the different lipid that we look out for. This cholesterol has two types. It has the bad cholesterol, the one they call the bad cholesterol. That's LDL. It has the HDL, the good cholesterol. Okay, high density lipoprotein, that's the HDL. Then low density lipoprotein is the LDL. So now they call it the bad. There's a normal level, normal level for the LDL. There's a normal level for the HDL. You see how wonderful God is. You see, it is not that you don't need cholesterol. We need cholesterol for function. If you don't know, cholesterol is important to function. In fact, it mustn't crash beyond certain level. That's how it has a range. It must not go beyond certain range, and it mustn't it mustn't go beyond certain range. That range must be there. And you can't say you want to crash your cholesterol level completely. It is dangerous because you need cholesterol to help to manufacture vitamin D. Okay, you need cholesterol. You need cholesterol for the brain function. You need cholesterol for metabolism. You need cholesterol for so many things in your body system. So if you don't have them, it's a problem. So now, when you have the bad cholesterol, they call the bad one LDL, higher than the HDL, there's going to be a problem. So now you are creating a state of imbalance in your body system. And when there is the state of imbalance in your body system, there's no homeostasis, and that is where this disease sets in. It's as simple as that. Disease sets in when there is a state of uh, 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 what's it called, this misbalance. There's no balance in your body system, there's no equilibrium, there's going to be a problem. So when this amount is excessive, then it's going to be a problem. So we're not talking about how do we cut down the amount of, we will take that one later. But be mindful that risk factor for cardiovascular issue is high cholesterol. Let me tell you something. Let me encourage you something tonight. If any of the things I'm mentioning today, you are having any of that, the good news is, I started with the good news that 80% of the cardiovascular issues and diseases are preventable. So all these things that I'm mentioning, they are highly preventable. True, they are highly preventable. We have on this platform women women that their doctors are already telling them that I think if your number continue like this, we may have to stop this. So they have even reduced their drug, their high blood pressure drug. They have reduced it. So if you continue that way, right? You continue that way, that's where the problem is. But if you begin to make adjustments, so if you have any of this issue, I want to encourage you to join the 30 days challenge program so that we begin to look at how you can eat your way out of many of these issues. Then we have excessive alcohol intake. So many of us still take alcohol. Some people indulge in this sachet alcohol drink now. Some indulge in they call it what they call it, the passion power drink, energy drink. I saw some drinks, they call the drink fearless. I hope nobody is taking that drink on this platform. I just want to believe so. Please, there are some drinks that you don't even know the origin, you don't know the composition. They market it to you and then you embrace it, you start drinking them. You don't stop with yourself, you now start introducing it to your children. Please, like, there are civil, they're just little. Then the other one I also want to talk about is stress. Stress is another risk factor. Stress that we talked about. See, for a few days now, I've also been under certain stress that I didn't even pay attention to. I've been sleeping late because of certain things that I have to do, finish up on time. I think I have more energy when it's at night. So I'm beginning to tell myself that, come, you have to show. So after about circumstances, I just felt myself feeling uneasy. So stress is something that we need to work on as women. And what happened? What did I do? I had to, in fact, my husband had to get involved. And they said, by so time, I had to say, it's already time, go and sleep. So we need to program ourselves. Sometimes I don't sleep. I sleep very late. I abuse, in fact, this particular healthy living principle. I sleep very late for those days. So by the time I adjusted again and I started sleeping early again and shutting down at that time, do you know that I felt better? I felt good. Physiological things, changes began to happen. I could feel it in my, even in my period. I could feel it that something was happening. It was stress. So please, let's most manage stress as much as we can. We can't finish all the housework at once. If you need to take a break, please shut down. If you have been overworking yourself at off in the office, tell them in the office that you need a time off. If you don't tell them in the office that you need a time off, something will happen that the office himself will time you out. Please be careful, sisters. Let's manage our time. Let's work with manage our stress. Stress management is one major topic that we need to look at for time to work it out. I have to meet up the deadline. I want to meet up with this one. I have to do this. Yes, we have to do. Just look for ways and also pray and ask God for wisdom and direction for how to manage it. The Lord will help us because stress can affect your heart. Just stressful, emotional stress is there, physical stress is there, psychological stress is there, physiological stress is there, please, biological stress is there. So please, let us manage this stress as much as we can as women. I'm emphasizing on it, especially us too in the Christian fold. It is not all the programs that are the vigils that we must attend. There are some churches that organize. I am sorry, no offense to any Christian brethren, sister here, but we must begin to tell ourselves certain things. There are some churches that declare fasting and pray and night vigil for people every day, and women have been attending vigil every day. What is running after us, or what are we running after? God is not far away from you. God is closer to you than you can ever imagine. He lives right inside of you. What are we looking for that we're having vigil every day? That is stress, mental stress, psychological stress, so much of it. Before you know what is happening, it's somebody just, you're eating healthy, you have been under stress. It's foul. If you're under stress and you think you're eating healthy, you're taking idle water, onion, this and all of that, and you're under stress, you're working against, you're doing the good things that you're doing for your body system. So please, I want to encourage everyone, manage your stress. Activities at school, activities at home, activities even with the children. Let's know how to manage. When you need to sleep, please sleep. Need to rest, rest. Need to eat, please eat. Desire particular food to eat. It must be healthy though, so that you don't affect your health completely. Please, as much as you can, manage your stress. Nothing worth dying for. True. I tell you, if you're looking for something 2 weeks ago and you didn't get it, life will continue. Life will continue. It doesn't matter whether you can't get it now. You will get it surely later. Let us program our mind. Put our mindset to that thing. Develop our mind that it's not a do or die affair. I must get this thing by all costs. I must get this thing by all means. It put a lot of pressure on your heart. Your heart is the one that suffers it more. When you are hungry, anger is stressing your heart too much. You're holding people in your heart. You are getting hungry. Somebody did this to you. You're free to forget. Oh, a whole me. Who told you? Who must say you are whole? Without God, you are empty. Without God, none of us here can claim to be anything. So let us make sure that we put all our cares on God. Submit everything to God. Life is short, even when you live 120 years on earth. So we must ensure that we set our priorities right and be content with what God has given to us. If you have 100,000, manage it. Stop looking at you must have 1 million. Work gradually towards getting the 1 million. It mustn't that you must have that 1 million now. Some say now I must get it. Qualification you're looking at, sorry, you want to get PhD, masters, this everything. They are good. One step at a time. Please manage your stress. Peradventure, we have people who smoke here. Primary smokers. This is one greatest risk factor. One day we will deal with issue of smoking. Smoking, some of us think I don't smoke. Oh, that one is out of money. Do you know the secondary smoking is actually as bad as the primary? So that is why when you stay around people who are smoking, please run away. It is as dangerous as anything. Smoking is terrible. Smoking is bad. It is number one risk factor, even for all kinds of cancer. Number one. And we have a lot of this happening around us now. Everywhere there is smoke, there is tobacco smoke. Tobacco smoke is everywhere. We need to fight against this menace. Let us avoid places where they are smoking. Please avoid it very well. Don't say, oh, you cannot stop them from smoking, but you can run away from where they are smoking. It's as bad as that. I have heard cases of how smoking causes miscarriages. Maybe somebody might be listening to me now. There is a story I heard from a very close person to me, and she shared a story. It was when we got to know the power and the how bad smoking, that she remembered that this smoking was what was causing her miscarriages over the years. She said she has several until she stopped working. It was later she linked it that our boss, our direct boss, is a smokes heavily. Smokes heavily. Even though when they say there's prohibited to smoke in the, he still smokes right in the office setting. So please, and she had to resign the job before she stopped having miscarriages. So it's a terrible thing. It's something that is very critical. Of course, it's a very high risk factor to heart disease. And people who have heart related diseases, you will find out that they have some element. Of course, people who smoke, they have this problem, high level of this cardiovascular problem. It is one key area that we must look into. Another point is overweight and obesity. This issue that I hear amongst women, they don't want to be slim. They want to have shape. They want to have body. Oh, African women must be chubby, must be big and plumpy. Have you heard it before? Me, I've had it before. And I'll be wondering, which message is this one? From which department is it coming from? It's surely be from the page of hell. Please, there is nothing like that. Ensure you know your numbers. I know my numbers. My height is 5.4. My weight is presently 58, and I cannot go beyond 59, my kg. I can't go beyond 59 so that my BMI can be, if you calculate based on what I share with you, you say that my BMI is just between, is less than 25. So now you must be within a very good BMI. Don't be overweight. No matter what, sew your clothes according to your figure, according to your body size. You will see that you will look beautiful. If you are slim, you eat well, you eat healthy, you hydrate your body very well, your skin will pop up, you will look beautiful. That looking slim is not even part of it. Being slim is also an added advantage. Some say you don't want to be slim. I don't want to be this one. Looking slim and be good. Because people have been used to you being fat. That's why they're looking at you. Say, ah, sister, are you sick? Oh, sister, are you, please don't mind anyone. When you get to your BMI, then you can know that yes, you are, it is about you, not about anybody. So be healthy, eat well, hydrate your body, sleep well, maintain a good body weight, and ensure that you're within your BMI so that you can enjoy good health and then you can reduce the risk of having cardiovascular health. Another one in inactivity. Many of us are guilty here. I'm also in this category. May God help me to increase my exercise level. So if you are in part of me, join me as well as I make a commitment to also do more on my activity level. I walk, I do all of that maybe when I have it, but to be intentional and having to take that walk is what I've slacked. I've slacked over the time. I know I was very intense. I was very intentional about it, and it was very intense when some months back. But I've relaxed a little. Please let us take up this challenge again and begin to work very hard on our activity level. Inactivity is a very high risk factor, and you know these days, our fathers that used to be in the village, when they come to the city, they feel very frustrated. They feel very, because they're inactive. They tell you they don't want to stay in Lagos. They want to go back. You'll be wondering that life seems beautiful and nice here. What are they looking for in that village? But you don't understand. They are active. They are more alive. They are active. They are more. They are productive. They are active. Their energy level is improved. Okay, so but you just want them to come to Lagos and stay. You are actually putting them, sentencing them to life imprisonment. So that is not going to work. So the same way it is for us, sedentary lifestyle is on a high level, from AC office to AC room to bay, AC everywhere, everywhere, AC Uber, AC everything. You don't walk, there's no activity, you sit down on the chair from morning to evening, you don't take a walk and all like that. So it is one of the things that also causes that problem. So let's work on activity level and ensure that we improve our health, our cardiovascular health. So tonight, this is where I'm going to close the topic class for tonight. Next week, by the grace of God, we will be looking at the modifications, the things that we should do to help us to stay and to prevent cardiovascular health, and also the things that we should do to reverse cardiovascular health. It is preventable, it is also curable, it is also, because there is no one, that there's no disease and there's no disease, one that is incurable. It is only people that are incurable. There is no disease that is incurable. It's only people that are incurable, always said by my mentor. Because if you can change your mind, adjust your lifestyle, and then work towards the goal of having of good health, lifestyle modification and all that, you will surely enjoy good heart health by the grace of God. So thank you tonight for listening to me. I look forward to seeing you next week, when we'll be having a concluding part or a continuation of cardiovascular health. Thank you for listening, and